Welcome to the 2025 US predictions. Um, so before we start, I think let's pull three cards for the energies that we need to keep in mind as we navigate through 2025. Um, Now, this does pertain to the US, but the US, of course, has influence over lots of things, and I believe the year is going to be kind of chaotic. But we'll go through the list of predictions I have in just a second. So show us three cards to help us understand the energies that we're going to have to navigate during 2025. Three cards. So I think we're going to have to sort through a lot of mis and disinformation. Getting the devil card. But let's see what other cards pop up. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of concern about money. This also came up in the world reading. So I think that's just the way things are going to be. It's odd that it also came up in the world reading. Um, Relying on circles of support. I think that's going to be important. And then know that this is the Ten of Swords. So this is going to be a dark part of US history, but the dark part is almost over. So it'll be an end of a very dark cycle, but that also means that we're going to start in a very dark cycle. And I think, it's already started a little bit with the chaos that we've seen in the government or people that will be in the government that I know most of the people on this channel do not want in the government. Um, so I think here the hope is that that dark cycle will come to an end. Hopefully in 2025 or shortly thereafter. So keep that in mind as you're navigating through your personal experiences in 2025. Okay, so on the topic of the economy, I see the economy slowing down rather dramatically, and I see inflation staying right around where it is. It's not going to come down, but inflation staying steady means prices are constantly going up, right? And that's kind of what the Federal Reserve wants, but they don't want them to be going up as fast as they're going up. So um, just take note of that. Uh, you know, Personally, we navigate these things such as, noting grocery sales when things are on sale. If it's something we eat, we might buy and buy some extra and throw it in the freezer or in the pantry if your finances allow that. Um, that would be one way to kind of deal with that. I also see a series of small bank failures. I don't think this is anything to be too scared about. I do think, I don't think the FDIC insurance is going away. But if you happen to have more money in there than what it's insured at, first of all, congratulations on that. I think the limit's 250,000. You might want to think about diversifying with some other banks so that you're staying under that cap because I think it's per account holder per institution, if I remember correctly. These bank failures, though, most likely are going to result in mergers of larger banks. So uh, the larger banks are going to get larger. That's, maybe not for the best, but that's what I see. I also see a number of small colleges either merging with bigger schools or closing their doors completely. So if you have children that are about to go off to college, or if you are somebody who's about to start a college journey, particularly at like small liberal arts schools with less than 1,000 people, 1,000 students. Um, Maybe just go and ask, what is the financial situation here? Are you guys going to be solvent for 4 years? These are questions that they have to legally answer. So I would, take note of that. Again, I think usually when these things happen, they find a way to try to make it okay. But certainly it's going to take some small towns and really be painful for the towns that those little colleges live in, especially if they're kind of the backbone of the little town. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing that the railroads and the airlines will be struggling, and there will be layoffs, and there will be travel delays. There will be delays in the deliverment of goods. Um, so take that as you want. Um, the major events that I see happening. First, I see a very active tornado, and I'm going to say season. But tornado season isn't like it was in the 80s and the 90s, where the tornadoes only happened from April to September, October. We now get tornadoes in November and December. So I think not a lot, but there's going to be a lot of tornadoes. That's true. But I think some of these tornadoes are going to take place at some very unusual times and in some very unusual locations. So, and this could include parts of Canada as well. But, like the Upper Peninsula in Michigan was something that popped into my mind just now. Not saying there will be one, but it would be unexpected, especially if it were to happen in, say, February. These aren't things that we keep our eyes out on. So I would stay attuned to the weather. I also see some major winter storms happening. Nothing that's particularly out of the ordinary, but having a few days worth of food on hand. If you're in a place that is privy for blizzards and getting snowed in, making sure you have what you need to survive. Um, i- if you can, and if you can't afford these things, there are organizations that can help. And I think that's what the Three of Pentacles was about at the beginning of the reading. The people donate to food pantries and to um, Goodwill and to various other things because they want to. And if you need to take advantage of that, the people that are donating are very happy that you are taking advantage of it. I've seen both sides of it. I've volunteered, I've donated, and at when I was younger, I've needed help. So don't be embarrassed to get help if you need help. And if you have a little bit of extra, you know, donate to the food pantries, donate blankets, coats, all those things, depending upon the climate that you live in. Usually there's a coat drive where we live for, kids, coats for kids when it's, October, November comes around. Okay. Uh, I do see uh, an oil spill, which I think might be caused by an earthquake. And I get drawn to Alaska, but the location might not be right. And hopefully this just doesn't happen. But um, what I saw afterwards was somewhat encouraging. I saw a lot of young people protesting the way in which we are transporting and extracting oil and natural gas. So I think there might be a spotlight shown on that um, industry to improve safety and start the transition away from fossil fuels in a more dramatic way. Okay, the next one was really hard to see, and I don't know that this will come as a big surprise, but I did see a very tragic mass shooting. I couldn't nail down the geography of it or whether it was at a school, a concert, or whatever. I don't say this to scare people. I say this to be cognizant that these are parts of our reality. And if you feel that something is not right, you know, this is the analogy I'll use. Like if you're walking through the grocery store and you come to an aisle and the person in the aisle just feels off, you might just go to the next aisle before circling back to get what you needed in that aisle. If you get that tingly intuition that tells you something is wrong, follow it. So follow your intuition, and I think everything will be fine. Like I said, hopefully I am wrong about that. There are going to be a ton of political scandals. I don't think this is surprising, but some of them will be shocking. The actual things that are the scandal will be shocking. Um, there will be more crimes exposed that Trump has committed in the past, and possibly some crimes that are ongoing. I also see this to be the year of three presidents, one being Biden, one being Trump, and one being Vance. Um, you can interpret that however you wish. If you struggle with suicidal thoughts, please do use the suicide hotlines. Um, as somebody who had friends and family that have chosen to check out of life in that way, um, I can tell you that while people will slowly understand why these things happen, um, it is not really um, what your life contract set you up for. So I say that because I do see an increased number in the suicide rate this year. I think this will bring awareness to a lot of issues. Um, so, and we'll pull some cards here in a second. Um, be kind and supportive with your circle. Whatever your circle is, maybe your circle is only 3 or 4 people, maybe your circle's 30, 40 people, maybe your circle's hundreds of people. Um, Asking people how they um, are they okay? And having coffees and teas and stuff like that, I think could benefit everybody. The last thing I'll say before we pull some cards is I think there's going to be a very major, not not just a little advancement in breast cancer. I think there's going to be a major advancement in breast cancer. So I think that's exciting. I already talked about there being advancements in cybersecurity in another video. There's going to be technological advances. Some of them were kind of hard to understand when I was getting the images because I just don't necessarily know what I was seeing, but they were positive. Okay, so let's pull three cards from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. What do we need to know to help ourselves and our circle of friends and family? What do we need to know to help ourselves and our circles of friends and family navigate 2025? I'm getting the card that represents your ancestors. Um, know that there is guidance from uh, outside this physical realm. available to you. You have to ask for it. Or it might come to you in omens and little vignettes in your mind. Uh, we get the magical guardian. So unlock the magic from within. This is your ability to manifest. Um, the new moon that's coming up right in Capricorn right before the new year and December 30th. This is a great time to do some money manifestation work. Um, and I use the word money, but I just mean abundance manifestation. You know, maybe that's manifesting uh, a better job, lower utility bills. It doesn't necessarily mean, manifesting more money coming in, because the more money you save is like money coming in. So it could be that, and especially with regards to the inflation and food prices going up. Um, yeah. So we get the moon message and it says take note of intuitive messages. So if something pops into your mind, like if you see canned beans are on sale and you think, what, I should buy, 5 extra cans of beans, follow that intuition. If your intuition says, maybe we shouldn't go uh on go to this concert, follow your intuition. Uh, Whatever your intuition is speaking, it's good to follow those things because if you don't, even if nothing happens, it makes you feel weird later if you're not following the messages. And this is what I'm talking about by your ancestors guiding you. A lot of those messages come from those places. Um, and then enjoy success and happiness with the Sun card. So it's okay to enjoy life and successes, even if there's strife in other parts of the world or country. Um, you know, as a species, we're still in this very new spot where we can see the global stage. You know, 100 years ago, we couldn't see the global stage. So, you know, uh, successfully getting a new job was something you would celebrate regardless of what was going on in other parts of the world. So keep that in mind. Um, I guess, you know, we should think globally, but we should act locally, I think is the way to think about that. Okay, politics. Um, there's going to be a push by the Trump administration to get Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas to retire from the Supreme Court. This is actually, I think, going to turn into a scandal for one or two of them, uh, because they're going to be asking for a quid pro quo. Um, Thomas, in particular, I got was asking for pardons before he would agree to retire. And similarly, I get that feeling with Samuel Alito. I have a feeling they're not going to retire because I don't think they can be assured that they won't face charges for some of the things that they've done. And I don't think we know what those things are. Like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of scandals. I think this might be one that becomes public, not necessarily what they're scared of, but just the fact that they're asking um, for 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 pardons. I think Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court is going to surprise us and start siding a lot with the liberals. She's still young. I think she's going to start thinking about her legacy and realizing the decisions around abortion and reproductive rights and trans rights are very unpopular. Now, the trans right bill might come down in a very horrific way, but the one that they just heard earlier in November. Um, that might not go the way that we would want it, but I do think eventually she's going to slide into that liberal camp and really surprise people. Um, that could be wishful thinking. Uh, as far as Congress and the presidency, I don't think there will be any major legislative achievements. I think Republicans and Democrats are going to fight everything that Trump and Musk and Vivek want to try to get through. I don't think we're going to see hardly any progress, which is good if the bills were going to do bad things. But it's also bad if they're not going to be able to respond to natural disasters, for example. So I think this will be very frustrating. We might even see some Republicans, elected Republicans, leave the Republican Party. And particularly, I got a big pull to Lisa Murkowski becoming an independent around April or May. Timing's difficult, so I could be wrong about the timing. Um, and then something's going to happen. I couldn't quite get a grasp on this, but Susan Collins, the senator from Maine, something's going to happen to where either she finds herself at complete odds with her constituents or she's just completely fed up with being in the Senate and she announces she's going to retire in 2025. And this is going to make a lot of Republicans mad because I think that pretty much guarantees that the Democrats will get that seat in 2026. Okay. Speaking of 2026, the 2026 or not presidential election, the 2026 election is going to start fast, like March. I think we'll see announcements from people like Roy Cooper in North Carolina that they're running for Senate. I think we'll see announcements from some Democrat in Maine. I think it's a female. I don't know the name, I don't know the face, but I'll know it when it happens. Um, I think uh, those things are going to start happening really fast. I think also the Republicans that are defying Trump, that Trump has threatened a primary, I think we'll see those primary challenges announced. I don't know that they'll be successful, but I think we're going to see a fairly expensive midterm election, and it's going to start early, which is going to be exhausting. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. Um, on the same note, 2028, it already slipped out of my mouth because that's also going to start this year. I think we'll see at least one, maybe up to three different Democrats announce they're running for president this summer, in the summer of 2025. Um, I see Pete Buttigieg possibly being one of them, and then the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, as being one of them. And the rationale is that they can be a mouthpiece to expose what's going on in Trump land. I think there'll also be lots of scandals in the Trump administration. So stay tuned for that. That's probably not surprising, but I think that's gonna some of them are gonna really take us by surprise. So and I don't think he'll weather all the storms. Like I said, I think there's gonna be three presidents this year, so interpret that however you wish. Okay, so let's pull some animal oracles cards, excuse me, to serve as reminders of the information that was in this reading when we see these animals, and also to remind us of the angels and ancestor oracle cards that we pulled, which I think the overall message there was intuition, following your intuition. Um, and I also get a real pull to that Three of Pentacles of helping your neighbor, being willing to accept help if you need it, which I know can be hard. So let's pull three cards. Give us three cards from the animal oracle to serve as guides for us throughout the year of 2025. Let's see. Well, these two want to come together. Uh, So we get coyote spirit. At the bottom, it says trust in the divine uh, detours, trust in the divine detours. So when it feels like things are going off the rails, and I think there are going to be many moments throughout this year where it feels that way, know that things will get back on track and they'll be better. It won't feel that way. So you probably want to curse my name when it's happening, but it will get on track and things will get better. Um, Chameleon spirit act as if. So this is a manifestation technique. Uh, if you act as if you're going to get that new job, you're more likely to get that new job, right? It's the law of attraction. Uh, so I think that's what that relates to. And then we got this one in the world reading as well. The frog spirit, clear out the clutter. I think this means don't let those inner demons in your voice or in your head um, rule the way you're living life. Oftentimes things in our head are more horrific than the reality. I'm not saying there's not going to be bad things this year because I think there will be, but um, don't let uh, that overtake your self-worth, your value. And then also, if you see a coyote, a chameleon, or a frog in places that they shouldn't be, so like not in a zoo, but just uh, places that let that serve as an omen to revisit maybe this reading and to be aware, if you see a coyote as you're getting ready to go to a concert, which seems strange that that would happen, but or the night before, you know, maybe rethink that, or the night before you're about to purchase tickets or something, maybe rethink that. Being cognizant of some of the horrific events that might happen. Hopefully, I'm wrong about all of them, but we'll see. Uh, so anyhow, I hope that's helpful. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful 2025, and I hope to see you soon.